What's up, graphic designers? In today's class, we're going to be reimagining this New York Magazine cover featuring the angle gradient as well as some blending modes. And let's talk about the gradient tool for just a moment. So I can't help but notice that if you have the paint bucket tool selected, you're going to right click it, you're going to pull up the gradient tool. And then at the very top, we've got a number of options. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to take a look at all of these folders. And I know that if we click on basics and I click on the very first one, what it's going to be doing is it's going to be pulling from the foreground and background color. And I'm noticing that the linear gradient is selected. So if you click once and drag, we can create this nice cool transition from black to white. But what's nice about this new 2024 version of Photoshop is that if you double click this circle at the end of the gradient where we released, we can change this from white to maybe like a light blue. That's cool. And we can change this black to maybe a deep blue. So we got something that looks a little bit like that. That was easy. That was nice. That was cool. I'm going to hide this layer. I'm going to simply select the gradient tool one more time. And now what I'm going to do is I'll hop into, let's do reds, and we've got some fun gradients to choose from. I'm going to click and drag. And we got something that looks a little bit like this, but check this out. If we switch from linear to the next one, which is the radial gradient, it automatically applies that radial gradient. So if I click one more time, I'm going to click and drag slowly. That looks awesome. If I wanted to adjust this interior color, I'm going to double click, we'll make it maybe light green. That looks kind of weird. That looks awesome. And I'm going to hide this. All right. What we're going to be doing today, however, is not applying the linear or the radial gradient. We're going to be applying the angle gradient. And when I click and drag, it's going to look a little something like this. And if we wanted to change the color, we've got iridescence, which is a fun ones to choose from. I think that looks awesome. However, what we're actually going to do is we're going to go into the OG gradients, the legacy gradient. So here's how this works. In order to achieve this effect, what we're going to need to do is click on Window. So what we're going to do is we're going to need to click on Window, and then we're going to click on Gradients. And then in this window in the upper right hand corner, I see that we've got all these different folders. At the very bottom is iridescent, pastels, and neutrals. What we want are the legacy gradients. To do that, we're going to click on the menu icon that says horizontal lines. And then I'm going to draw my attention to the bottom. And there it says legacy gradients. We're going to left click. And then all of a sudden in this gradients window, or over here on the upper left hand side, I can see that legacy gradients were added. Beautiful. And so within legacy gradients, there's all these really fun ones. So I can't help but notice that we've got metal, we've got pastels, which looks like a lot of fun. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to check out this very first one, which includes these original three that we already have, along with these really fun gradients, including this like rainbow gradient right here, so which they call spectrum. So I'm going to left click, I'm going to add spectrum, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to click and drag, and yes, that looks amazing. All right, so this is the gradient that we're going to need to apply to our cover. How exactly is that going to work? Great question. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to unlock the background layer for this New York Magazine template. I'm going to right click the magic wand tool. I'm going to make sure, you guys, critically, that contiguous is unchecked, because if it is checked, this is what's going to happen when I click the black on underneath. I'm going to click and press delete, and then you'll notice that the black on the inside of the O and the R is not selected. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to deselect, make sure that it's unchecked. I'm going to click once, press delete, Command D. Beautiful. All right. What we're going to need to do now is we're going to need to add some students to this cover. So I'm going to grab a couple PNG cutouts that we created back in the fall, and I'm going to use the move tool, and I'm simply going to click and drag. Amazing. Tremendous. Thanks, Albert. Thanks, Shayla. Let's grab one more. Okay. And you know what? For good measure, we'll grab James. All right. Clicking, dragging. All right. And James, you're going to want to make sure that we're always working a high-res image. All right. Beautiful. So here is what I know. We want layer 0, which is, I'll label it the title or the cover. We always want this to be on the top. Beautiful. And so now this is what we're going to do. I'm going to shift these guys around a little bit, and what we're going to need to do is think about strategically where we're going to want to put our the headlines, the article titles, and I'm going to click on the gradient icon once more, and I'm gonna now select not this green to light that we selected earlier. I'm gonna drop my drop all the way to the bottom. I'm in legacy default gradients. So I'm gonna click this rainbow / spectrum one. I'm gonna click and drag, and we do not want the linear, so I'm gonna pull up the angle gradient. There we go. This looks awesome. And so now what we're gonna do is we're gonna change the blending mode, not to multiply, not to screen, and not to overlay, but what we're gonna do is we're gonna change it to color. And that looks amazing right there. I'm gonna use the move tool, and I know that if I want to move Aiden, for example, right, and I click, I'm not able to touch him at all, sadly. But if we hide the gradient / the blending mode, right, we can shift it around like so, and that looks amazing. What I would encourage you guys to do is I'm gonna click on Albert on the top layer. I'm gonna hold shift. I'm gonna grab James, it looks like, on the bottom, or the other way around, and I'm gonna press Command J while they're all selected. And you'll notice if you look at the layers palette here, let's pull this out. I selected them all and I pressed Command J, and it made 4 quick copies of all of them. If I press Command Shift U, I cannot desaturate, but what I can do is Command Shift U, Command Shift U, and I'm desaturating each of those 4 layers, because here's why. We're gonna want to use the color blending mode today, but you guys, this is crucial. If we wanted to cycle through the blending modes, if you press V and hold Shift and then press +++, what we can do is we can cycle through the various blending modes that you think work best. Overlay is fun, but I do think for today's project, color is what we want to go for. I'm looking for article titles. I'm looking for something compelling. I'm looking for your PNG cutouts. We can make some new ones today. Let me know if you guys have any questions. Good luck.